This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Joe Castello back with you. WFO. How's it going? Those of you on Facebook, on Twitter, watching through Periscope, those of you out there on the YouTube channel, welcome. We are getting ready for the Hawley Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Again, that's right. The September edition of the Gator Nationals, something that has never happened before. And of course, I've been going for a long time. Real excited to get the Mellow Yellow portion of this race in. Of course, Lucas Oil Series action from Atlanta has been moved to Gainesville. And I can tell you that a lot of the people that I know from sunny South Florida and throughout the state that keep up with drag racing are excited and fired up to get out there and go to this race. So NHRA's Alan Reinhart is going to be on just seconds from now. We're going to break it all down. There's been a lot of news in the sport of NHRA drag racing, and so we're going to tackle as much as is possible in about an hour or so. Your comments and questions and thoughts and all of that are welcome through Facebook. I do want to remind you guys, though, that, of course, WFO Radio, we cannot just do this. We do it because we've got some great sponsors, and I want to tell you who they are and what they do, and I appreciate you for allowing me to do this at the beginning of each show, because someday you will need them. You are going to put together an engine and you think, man, what kind of piston rings do I need? And the answer is going to be Total Seal piston rings. We got a brand new Hidden Horsepower podcast set to drop. You can get it at the Total Seal website, totalseal.com. Kenny Duttweiler built the engine in the Speed Demon, just set the record of the Bonneville Salt Flats for the piston-powered car over 470 miles per hour. Think about that. How did they do it? What went on? What was the story? He will reveal a lot of it in our podcast coming out on Thursday. But really, it's just another opportunity to hear the greats of engine building talk about working closely with the folks at Total Seal to overcome obstacles. And Kenny mentions several examples of things custom made by Total Seal to help them seal that engine up. Pretty cool. TotalSeal.com. Check them out. Also, samtech.edu. We got another factory stock showdown race getting ready to roll out at the Hawley Motor Oil Gator Nationals. Aaron Stanfield was our most recent guest on Factory Stock Podcast, which is really just an exercise to tell all you young people out there that if you want to become a high-performance engine builder or a machinist, have a career that's not going to be taken away from you, that you can really carry along with you wherever you go, you'll be in demand. Samtech.edu is a great place to start. And what's interesting is I asked Kenny Duttweiler in the Total Seal podcast what is a great way to get started in engine building, some advice he might have for the next generation. And guess what he says? You got to guess. If you can't figure it out, he says to go to Samtech is what he says, just in case some of you couldn't figure it out. There it is. Samtech.edu to find out more information. Brian Massengill family doing a great job. Also, Marvin Rodak, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. You know, I always start my days off with a little Rodax coffee because it's drag racing themed, drag racer made, and frankly, just better than the garbage you're buying in the grocery store. If it's vacuum packed, man, it's not good. You can do so much better. And you're trying to do so much better in the rest of your life. Why not your coffee? Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. He's waiting on your call right now. Call now. Call today. Call now. And finally, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the home of which is where we're going, Gainesville Raceway. And Frank and Lana up there in Gainesville, and they've got their courses, whether it be Top Alcohol Funny Car. Scotty Polachek on last week says he got his career started at Frank Hawley's. And just amazing. And the fact that they have got the Dragster Adventure program, which for my money, one of the coolest things you're going to do. Driving a dragster against your friends, against your clients, against your sales team. Going out there, the Dragster Adventure Challenge. They can even set up a race. You can have a winner. Great stuff. Check them out at frankhawley.com. Very cool. And finally, if you'd like one of these WFO radio face coverings, they are all the rage, the face coverings. Like it's the biggest fad in drag racing. Even Michael Heiner's got one. $10, and I'm going to throw in some WFO radio stickers also, and that includes the shipping. Come on now. $10, including shipping, and a couple of stickers. Get yourself a WFO face covering that you can rock at the track, and if you want to go to the track, you have to have a face covering. So keep that in mind. Go to WFOradio.com, click WFO store, use PayPal, use a credit card, whatever. Get yours today. And there it is. That's all the business that we have here at the start of the show. Now time to get into some more business, monkey business maybe, with this man. He is the voice of the NHRA. He'll be calling the action this weekend from Tucson, Arizona, Alan Reinhart. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Joe. I just, I went camping for the weekend, was up at the lake, was out goofing off, was kind of out of touch. Did I miss anything? I just got back 10 minutes ago.
No, it's so funny. Not really any news, but we can definitely discuss our love of camping and how much we love camping in the NHRA. Camping is a big thing. A lot of people don't realize how many RVs there are in the pits, and then how they go from race to race, and then they camp out at places and they need to shop. It's pretty amazing.
It's like a world of campers.
It's almost
we have our own world of campers.
It's pretty amazing.
Kenny Youngblood one time sitting next to me on an airplane. We started chit-chatting a little bit, and he drew NHRA's trailer park. And we ended up auctioning it off at one of the draw auctions one time. But he did a little cartoon for me and an napkin too. But NHRA's very own trailer park. We've got like our own world of camping.
We do. Our world of camping. If only there was something that could take advantage. No, obviously what Alan is referencing is the news that broke yesterday. So first of all, here's how we're going to attack this. We're going to get ready for the Gator Nationals as the last thing we do. So everybody leaves fired up and ready to go to the race. Initially, we're going to talk about just the ebb and flow of the story that has happened over the last 48 hours, starting off with, I guess, some good news, which was the extension of the Fox Broadcast Network deal to mid-decade, basically, through 2026. I don't know how much that has been reported, but increased coverage and 8 races on the big Fox network, including one that is going to have an NFL game butt up to it as a lead-in, perhaps. And so that is going to get us big views, big eyes, big sponsor opportunities, a chance to grow the sport. That was huge. And we saw this year growth year over year over our big Fox network shows on the Western Swing a year ago. So that just goes to show that the sport is good and it's growing and that there's value and we see it and it's good stuff. Brian Lone's going to come on tomorrow at 4 to talk about that. But that's how we started off, with like good news. And
yeah, we'll take all of that we can get. I remember when Fox took over the exclusive broadcast rights to NHRA, and we had kind of a little meeting out in California, and the executives from Fox said point blank, we are going to make a big deal out of this. It's going to take a couple of years to get it all into place. But they also said something I found very interesting that I hadn't thought about. He said NHRA is the largest sports property that Fox has exclusively. Yes, we have NFL. So did everybody. Yes, we have baseball. It's also on 6 different networks. NASCAR splits back and forth between. But NHRA is the biggest sports property that we own exclusively, and we're going to make a big deal out of it. And I think they've been true to their word. Between the Mellow Yellow series and the pro shows, of course, the Lucas series, and they do the pro mods, and the reruns. I mean, I literally will get a text that, hey, just watching, the rerun of the Pomona show in April. And the fact that not only are they putting us on, originally, but they're using us also when they've got, some open windows and stuff. And that's great exposure for the sport. And I think that they've been true to their word. I'm thrilled with the extension. It's, it's nice to know where your home is going to be long term.
Yes. Well, and they have done infinitely better with the scheduling and the commitment to the racing, what it is, sticking with us at the U.S. Nationals on Big Fox for several hours. That is exactly what drag racing fans have always wanted. Just respect for what we are and the effort and who our people are and our teams are. Just a little bit of respect, and no offense or disrespect to like the Little League baseball that would sometimes bump us to 2 a.m, etc. In the old days. But sticking with this broadcast on Big Fox for the U.S. Nationals, and then an extension and doubling the amount of Big Fox Broadcast Network races, basically a third of the season, will be on the big broadcast network and even butt up to the NFL in a couple of situations. That is great news. And so we were riding high, and then we found out yesterday some negative news that the Coca-Cola company, the Mellow Yellow brand, and of course I love Mellow Yellow and Coke and all the people that we have worked with, and it has been great, but obviously a bit of a dispute. And so now there's litigation going on, and the Coca-Cola relationship with the National Hot Rod Association that extends back to the early 2000s and the end of the Winston era. Think of that. From Winston to Coca-Cola to now, the stability we have had, but that is coming to an end at the conclusion of the season. And so that is negative news to buffet the sport. Now, it's 2020, so we're prepared for negative news. But what do you think of that one?
I was stunned. I was very shocked when I heard the news officially, and I want to go on record first saying I don't have any inside information. I am not in Glendora. I'm not part of the executive team of NHRA. I'm a contractor. I'm going to be every week from my shop in Arizona. So I don't have any information that anybody else doesn't have. What they've read on the internet, what's been released. But it's obviously not good. That it had been fairly well known that Coca-Cola would probably not be renewing the contract that runs till 2023. And my understanding was that yesterday or day before yesterday, they informed NHRA that they are done now, today, period. And NHRA had basically no choice other than to file suit. If I have a contract with you and you promise to pay me for 3 years and you don't pay me,
right,
I'm suing you. I mean, that's business. You signed a contract. We've lived up to our end of it. Obviously with the pandemic and the issues we've had, that's I guess you'd call that a force majeure, which is a tag in every contract out there, act of God kind of thing. But it doesn't nullify the contract. And Coca-Cola, for whatever reason, decided that they didn't want to. Every time I have been to a Coke function, whether it's been in Atlanta when they had the Champions Dinner, when the Coca-Cola executives would come out to the banquet, they've always been very positive, very pro, we're very happy with our program. We're happy with our involvement. We love what NHRA is doing for us. So this came as kind of a shock to me. I did a couple of phone calls yesterday, reached out to some people, not like, hey, tell me the news, and just checking on my friends. I want to know if I've got a guy, I want to know if he's okay. Do you still have a job? Do you now find yourself on the street? Do you know what kind of position you're going to be in? And most of them were as shocked as we were that the news came out. They didn't know it was coming either. But, the CEO of Coke was on TV last night, said they're doing a major reorganization on a lot of their sports properties. And, apparently they just saw us as expendable. I'm sure this will work itself out just because the little bit I know about contract law, when things like this happen, you usually sit down with a mediator and just work it out, right? We will come to some kind of a settlement, some kind of a conclusion, and we will all get on with our lives. It's bad that, for NHRA, I think it gives Coca-Cola a black eye. But it's, the world we live in these days, it's kind of part of business. So you do what you got to do and you move on.
Well, exactly. And the unfortunate, first of all, this is complex. Like Alan and I are not executives, we're contractors, but we both put our heart into the sport and everything we've got because we love drag racing. And when you think about drag racing, you inevitably think about the people. And there are so many people who have been representing Coke and Coca-Cola representatives that have become like great friends, personal friends, wonderful people. It's like, oh my goodness, how tough is this that the entities are in a legal situation when the people just want to continue to work and do as good a job as is possible. So that is complex and challenging, but friendships will obviously endure. It's just a shame. The word, blindsided was used. Glenn Cromwell, the president of the NHRA, has put out a letter on NHRAracer.com. And I thought that's the appropriate place to do it, in that the racers and members are the first to be affected. And you think about all the storylines that have come up recently, what's been going on, et cetera. I would like to just take a minute or so to read the letter, if you don't mind, Alan. I know most people go to NHRA Racer, but Maybe they don't, and they're watching. And so I'm going to do a cold read real quick. Maybe not that cold, but a message from NHRA President Glenn Cromwell. 2020 is a year we will never forget. As the country and the world paused in the face of COVID-19, NHRA, like other sports sanctioning bodies, canceled and postponed events. We had to do our part to protect public health, and our decisions were based on evolving governmental and public health guidance. We worked with our entire drag racing community, government authorities, and experts to return to racing in a prudent way. Now, we are one of the few sports anywhere that successfully returned to operating with spectators with protocols in place to support those operations. Like many organizations, the pandemic impacted our finances. For example, without fans in the stands, we were forced to reduce purses. The good news is that our overall financial health remains strong, and we are excited to gear up for our 70th anniversary in 2021. We are taking more time to announce the 2021 national event schedule so we can have fuller information and more certainty. The schedule might look different than before. It might start later and might start on the East Coast, but it will be packed with what everyone expects from NHRA racing. This is Glenn Cromwell. I'm truly proud to say that NHRA is the largest and greatest auto racing organization in the world, and we have all of you to thank for that, as well as everyone else with a passion for NHRA racing. When the pandemic struck, our entire NHRA racing family focused on everyone's health and safety. On the Pro Series side, we continue to work closely with our series sponsor, Coca-Cola, and their Mellow Yellow brand. Even though they decided to withhold a payment from us during the pandemic, they worked with us, and all systems were go for their sponsorship to continue as contracted through the end of 2023. Recently, Coca-Cola had a change of heart and told us they would walk away from their agreement to sponsor our professional series, not at the end of 2023, as promised in their agreement, but now, after being with us since 2002. We're deeply disappointed that they've taken this position. NHRA has always treated our sponsors as part of our family. Family sticks together when times are tough. But it seems the Coca-Cola Company is using the pandemic as an opportunity to break their promise. We cannot let that stand. We owe it to everyone who makes the NHRA so excellent, to our employees, teams, tracks, fans, partners, and sponsors, to hold Coca-Cola to its promises. Today, in the United States, this was yesterday, today in the United States District Court for the Central District of California, we filed a lawsuit against the Coca-Cola Company. We have never filed a lawsuit like this in our history, and we never expected to be forced to take action against such a long-standing partner. We value relationships with our sponsors. We do not take this action lightly, but we are unwavering in our belief that we have no other option to protect our rights and the interests of our racing community, especially the racers who pursue this sport, whose purse was funded in a large part by this agreement. Thank you for all you have done in these past few months. We will continue to work with the greatest sponsors in the world, and together we will cross many more finish lines stronger than we ever have before. From NHRA President Glenn Cromwell yesterday. And you can sense, you can feel the disappointment in the words of Glenn's letter. I know that there were some discussions with teams yesterday, kind of to rally everyone together on this note. And it's just, it's a situation that we will have to work our way through.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it is. They will have to work their way through that while we continue, with what we've been doing. The professional racing organization, Pro, released a statement yesterday that said we are committed to completing the season as it's laid out. Everybody that makes their living in drag racing, or everybody that does this at a high level, understands that the sport needs to continue. And the most important way for that to happen is to keep racing. The reason we had to get back on track. There are certainly some chicken littles out there that, the sky is falling. And I've seen at least 3 different people that said, oh, well, that's it. Gainesville will be the last race. No, it won't. Those are the same people that said Indy will be the last race, and then Indy 2 will be the last race, then Indy 3 will be the last race, and then we'll never go anywhere other than Indy. if every week or if every day you get out of bed and go, well, today's the day I have a flat tire. Well, someday you probably will. And then you go, see, I told you. But it's ridiculous. NHRA is committed to keeping the sport going. The teams need it to happen. And, obviously everybody's dealing with difficult times right now, and everybody is trying to do their best to get through it. This is just really a kind of another body blow, I guess, if you will. But I firmly believe that we'll get through it. From the little bit that I know about contract disputes, I firmly believe that this will be settled either with some kind of a settlement or with a mediator, and we will get on with our lives. But in the meantime, we will keep racing. I think that's the commitment that has come from Glendora, and that's the commitment that the team owners, the professional racing owners, have mentioned as well. So, we're just going to keep plowing forward.
And this morning, that was the bad news of yesterday. But this morning, we all awakened to, those of us who wake up and the first thing we do is grab our phone, to the tweet by Marcus Lemonis from Camping World. Hey, NHRA, we at Camping World aren't scared of our commitment to racing. Let's sit down and talk sponsorship. We're good for it. Just ask your friends at NASCAR, says Marcus Lemonis, a.k.a. The Prophet, from CNBC, who is, I believe, South Floridian grad. And you see Amanda Busick jumps in there, and Don O'Neill, et cetera, and so on. But there you go. From one day to the next, one door closes, another door potentially opens. And I think about the excitement that is our sport, the chaotic circumstances in the world, the reevaluation of everything that is happening. Obviously, Coke reevaluated their relationship with us, but there are going to be a lot of companies out there that reevaluate their situations wherever they are and have to look at NHRA drag racing and consider the value, the commitment, the fans, and the sport, and our new TV deal. I think it's going to be, it's exciting. Who knows what's good or bad, Alan, when it happens, right? You just got to ride it out, and you got to have your true character and work hard and show commitment, and you just never really know what's going to happen.
I'm a firm believer, and I've said it 100 times, that, the things that happen to you have little to no effect on your life. It's how you react to the things that happen to you that determine. There are going to be bad things happen to everybody. And if you want to go curl up in a corner or, put yourself in bubble wrap and get in a room and, just drink filtered water and pray that nothing bad, then you can do that. But if you want to take adversity and go, okay, look, this is bad, but what can I do about it? What can I learn from it? How can I go forward from this? And, the old story that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I think kind of comes into play as well. You can go example of the same bad thing that happened to two people. And one of them let it ruin their life, and the other one fought through it and came back stronger than ever. And so, when Winston left NHRA, and they were forced to leave. They didn't leave because they didn't like us, they didn't want us. When Winston left NHRA, the phone started ringing almost immediately from people that are making inquiries. What's available? What can we do? Is there a way for us to get involved? Now, obviously, if 10 people call and go, hey, I'm interested, all 10 of them aren't what you're looking for, but hopefully one or two are, and you're able to put something together. I think that we've seen that over the years a lot in all kinds of various sports and various situations, that when something like this happens, there's somebody out there, whether it's Marcus Lemonis or somebody else, that first thing he sees is opportunity, right? This is a good property. It's got a good television package. It's got a very strong fan following. It has a huge fan base that is very loyal to their sponsor. And as we talked about earlier, how many of them are out there in motorhomes at the racetrack? How many of them are out there camping on the weekends? How many of them out there are potential customers? Maybe that's a good fit. Maybe he looks at it and goes, you know what? But just the fact that he went so far as to publicly say, let's talk about this.
Yes.
I mean, that's a good thing. He is a pretty sharp guy in the business world, and he swings a pretty big hammer. And I think him saying that has got to have other people going, NHRA, let me take a little closer look at that. Maybe there's something there. So, we'll see what happens.
And just a quick, Marcus Lemonis. I don't know how many people watch the show The Profit on CNBC, but it's a good show. It's like a Shark Tank style show. He's a business guy. He comes in, you need help. Like he would come in with WFO and he would say, Castello, obviously you're disorganized. You need to clean things up, and here's how we're going to do it, right? And pretty amazing. But he graduated Marquette. He's from South Florida. And he worked at a car dealership. He's a car dealership baby and had early exposure to Lee Iacocca and all of that. And so he gets the culture. He gets the car.
He's still in Florida?
No. Now he's a Chicago area dude. But he has a lot to do with, he does things with the University of Miami, and he's still around. Now he's international, right? He's everywhere he wants to be now, but grew up in South Florida, worked at Anthony Abrams Chevrolet, one of our South Florida car dealerships. And I suggest people look him up. Now, that having all been said, there are many different companies out there that could benefit greatly from being involved with the NHRA. NHRA sales department, they're the ones that are going to go out there and wrestle it. But we saw NASCAR recently undertake a bit of a strategy change when Monster Energy went away. Remember, they had Winston, we had Winston. Then we, of course, got Coca-Cola and have had Coca-Cola this time. They went through Sprint, they had Monster Energy, and then they said, maybe one title sponsorship, when it leaves, it rocks you. Maybe it would be better to have 4 or 5 premier sponsors. And so that's kind of the world that they have gone down. And it's interesting, like a chance to rethink, reinvent the concept of title sponsorship in NHRA is also on the table. And I'm curious to see how that all goes, judging by what NASCAR has done pretty recently. And I know this is all like Sports Business Journal kind of talk, but we're right in the middle of it right now. And I'm going to choose to, like you said, Alan, react in a way that is curious and interested, and assuming that what's on the other side is going to be good and better for the sport.
Well, and I think I am a big believer in taking responsibility for your own actions. And that's another thing I tell people all the time. If things are going well in my life, I'm taking credit for it, right? I made good choices. I made good decisions. I took the right risks. And if things are going bad, I screwed up. You can blame me. Okay. I'm the only one that can fix it. And I'm a big believer in that. But, you could take 2 guys that got fired from the same job on the same day. One guy goes on unemployment for the next 30 years and never leaves the house and sits around and, drinks beer and whatever. And the other guy goes, you know what? This don't work for me. I'm going to go whatever. I'm going to go buy a van and start washing cars or detailing cars. And then the next thing you know, he owns 6 car washes. I mean, there's always something out there, when situations happen, there's a lot of times you look at something and go, well, that sucks. Okay, where do we go from here? Because, you can wallow in it or you can move forward. And like I said, I'm very big on taking responsibility, and I'm responsible for me. When I started doing the announcing for NHRA, I had a pretty solid job, was making decent money, had very, very good stability. And I basically threw it away to take a chance on this because it was something that I wanted to try to do. And my first contract with NHRA was 10 races. It wasn't like I was going to be able to survive on that. But I took the chance on that. And then I went out and found things on other weekends to do so I could get through some pretty lean times. And, it's turned out to be a pretty nice career for me. But I made the choice. And if it hadn't worked out, I might be living under a bridge right now. And that would be my fault too.
But that's the thing. But you wouldn't. Like, you're not going to, the thing that would end up you under the bridge is like some sort of medical catastrophe or something. If you can work, you can figure out a way to overcome. And now with all the connections you've got, oh my gosh, Alan, you'll own the bridge.
Some of the most successful people that I know became successful because they weren't smart enough to know you couldn't do it. I mean, legitimately. There's a guy here in town that is one of the largest underground contractors in town. And when he started, he left a good paying job with another contracting firm, bought an old broken down backhoe and a dump truck, and went to work for himself. And he literally spent probably 4 hours a day working on his backhoe and working on his dump truck, and slept in it a lot of times. And anybody that looked at that for a business plan would go, yo, dude, this guy will pay you to show up 9 to 5. Well, what are you doing? You look at guys like Johnny Gray. When Johnny Gray moved to New Mexico, everything he owned was in a Datsun pickup. And he went to New Mexico to go to work in the oil fields. And worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
It's a situation where a guy is going to go out. He's driven. He believes in himself. He's willing to take some risks. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And, that's basically every successful guy I ever met. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to be willing to take some risks. And you got to understand that, you're going to get kicked in the teeth every once in a while. So you either get up and go on, or you just lay over there, curl up on the floor, and nobody ever hears from you again. But you've got to make those decisions. NHRA's had tough times before, and they've always got through it. I firmly believe that they'll get through this one. And we'll just, in the meantime, we need to keep doing what we do. And that's what we're going to do.
Yes. Although I do like your bubble wrap idea in the right context, it does kind of sound fun. All right, let's get some people's comments in here. Just some rapid fire, like Speedy Stick says, can Camping World afford a serious sponsorship, though? Yeah, the answer is yeah. I think that they could, or part, or a couple. Or
have you heard of the NASCAR Truck Series?
Yeah, right, exactly. They already do it. Campground at New England Dragway is always full. Let's see, Mark. So what do you all think about the NHRA and Mellow Yellow? Mark, that's what the last 20 minutes of show has been about. You can go back and watch, of course. Edwin, how's it going, Mr. Reinhardt? My question are, what are your predictions of Tony and Corey Mack making it in the top 10 in the last few races?
I'm surprised. I said before, you know what? I'm not going to switch in the middle of the stream. I said before, if Tony runs the last 6, he could finish in the top 10. I'm going to stand by that. I think Tony can make it.
There it is. And Corey Mack is not on the entry list in Gainesville as of the moment, but I wish he would be. And, he did such a great job out there in Indy. We got to get him some more reps because Corey Mack is still a beloved fan favorite. Just got to say. Monica says, nice to see NHRA getting some love, add respect. Absolutely. People don't realize, you mentioned those keyboard people out there, that is a tiny sliver of people. And it's unfortunate that the social media brings out some of the ugly nature of people. They feel like you can post everything without being identified. But generally, in the overall sporting world, NHRA, like the people I talk to when I go to cover something for, at Marlins Park or at Hard Rock Stadium, like an NFL style organization, they know about NHRA and they know what I do and they know what we are. We're a major league sport. That's why I'm here. We're Major Baseball of drag racing. And that is invaluable. People are aware of what the NHRA does. Juan says thumbs up. Alan said Mellow Yellow Series is still going to be that to the end of the year. Yeah, as far as I understand, we are obligated by a contract to promote and respect and love and direct people towards the Mellow Yellow brand of Coca-Cola, which, by the way, I love personally, genuinely. I love Mellow Yellow. So I understand. Let's see what Chris Garrettson says. If Blind Squirrel Racing is watching, Alan, don't get nervous. Garrett, he's not the new guy anymore, though. The reverse throttle stop thing is, I won't call it permeating the category, but it's definitely catching on.
He's a trendsetter. Let's just do that. He's a trendsetter.
Yeah.
By the way, if Marcus Lemonis is out there, send me an email. I will get you a ticket for Gainesville, and let's have a conversation.
Yeah, what's that email address?
I can introduce you to anybody you need to meet, and we'll make it happen. Announcer at NHRA.com.
Well, exactly. And those people who, just like the couple of connections, right? Like Marcus Lemonis, CNBC, The Prophet, CNBC, Shark Tank, John Paul DeJoria, Shark Tank, boom. He doesn't have to go very far to talk to someone who is already heavily invested in the sport, who gets it, who was here, loved it, took some time off, came back, directly connected to the sport. And that's one of the things I love about drag racing. Think about Mr. Gennard with Oakley. Like, there's a lot of big time players that love to spend time at the NHRA. That's a good thing about our sport.
Agreed. And it's obviously it's a solid marketing avenue. One of the things that we have that so many others don't have is the ability to touch. If you go to a NASCAR race, and I love NASCAR, I'm not putting them down, but But if you go to a NASCAR race, you go to the race, you sit in the stands, you watch the race, you go home. If you go to an NHRA race, you go to the race, you watch the cars, then you go to the pits, then you go to the midway, then you go back, then you've got opportunities as a sponsor or as a marketer to connect one-on-one with the fans multiple times throughout the course of the weekend. And, that's why you look at, what all of the manufacturers have done on our manufacturers midway. When it's the Dodge event, how big is the Dodge footprint? Because that's a place where they can talk to the fans. They can make that connection. And, that's something that we offer that most other sports don't. There's no manufacturers midway that I'm aware of. When you go to an NFL game, you walk in when you can, watch the game, and you walk out. But if I'm sponsoring an NFL team, I don't have an opportunity to hand out something, to get a picture with somebody, to get somebody's email address, I don't have that opportunity. And at NHRA, every fan that comes through the gate has pit access, has access to, the marketing area down there, the manufacturers midway. And I think that's something that makes us unique. And that's why a lot of the people that you were talking about, John Paul believes very strongly in NHRA. When he came back with the Rocket Phone brands and with this is a place where you can do hands-on. You can meet the fans, you can say hi, and you can make those contacts, and that's great marketing strategy.
Simple as that. I'm going to put this up. I shouldn't, but I will. Did the U.S. Nationals, making it political, the kissing of the race teams of Trump influence the decision? The answer is no, man. No, don't overthink things like this. Really, like at the highest level. You already know that, for instance, Scott just put up, Coca-Cola was reducing staff and cost by offering buyouts to 4,000 employees. COVID, man. Hashtag 2020 is the genesis of all of this rethinking that is going on across everywhere. And to be fair to the Coca-Cola people, like, what do they do at our races? They hand out samples of beverages. And right now, that is like a challenging thing to do. And so the way it's all working out, man, I don't know if I would like that, but other products, other things, digital items, who knows what's possible to promote to our fans, but we still have the most loyal fans. Here's one. I'm a big Coke fan. I enjoyed their partnership with our sport. However, it doesn't do anybody any good if one side is not happy. Would the exit of Coca-Cola open the door for race and car sponsorship outside of the Coca-Cola family, like energy drinks, soda, sports drinks? Well, exactly. I had 10 people text me Red Bull yesterday. Red Bull, go get Red Bull. And I don't even know if that's what I would choose. You got to pick the right partners, but you got to look at the opportunity that lies ahead now. And I think there are plenty.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think that, you don't want to do a knee jerk in something like this. Now, having said that, if a guy shows up tomorrow and says, okay, here's my checkbook, how much? Yeah, great, sign him on. But it would be nice to find a partner that wants to stick with, wants to grow with. We had Winston for 26 years, 27 years, something like that. We had Coca-Cola for 18 years, and until this,
right.
Hashtag 2020, it would be great to find another partner that wants to be here long term, not just somebody that's got, okay, I got to, every 2 years, I change my major marketing group. So, okay, I want to be, we're going to make it the WFO drag racing series for 2 years. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the WFO World of Outlaws, the WFO WOO. That was for 2 years. Right. Then I'm going to move again. And changing that marketing is not ideal for anybody. If that's your only option, then it certainly, you take it. But you would like to be with a company long term. And even though we had a couple of different brands associated with us, from Powerade to Full Throttle, it was always Coca-Cola. And we had a long-term relationship with Coca-Cola. And that's one of the things that really is bad about this is the relationship. The people that were on the front lines, whether they were Coca-Cola employees or whether they were contractors out there, running the Mellow Yellow experience, running the Powerhouse, doing that kind of stuff, they became part of the family. And the fact that we won't have them to kick around, to hang out with and goof off with and shoot T-shirts with.
That's like those guys. Those are some of my best friends out there, and that's it. That's the thing about you. The relationships that you forge, they go beyond any one agreement, etc. Daryl Gwynn out there. What's up, DG? Daryl Gwynn going to be up in Gainesville this weekend, by the way. Road Axe mentions Al. Of course, like the relationship, the duration of the relationships, 18 years, 20 something years. Why do these partnerships last so long? You might be wondering, all you people out there. And the answer is people put a lot into them. They work really hard to keep these relationships going. People checking in.
I'm sorry, Joe. The other side of that answer is because it's good for both of us. You know, if Coca-Cola for the first 5 years had not seen anything in NHRA, they wouldn't have been here for 18.
Right.
Now, you know, whatever it was that made this decision, I firmly don't think it had anything to do with, well, NHRA is not delivering on what they were supposed to. I think it's, you know, a sign of the times and a sign of Coca-Cola going through a pretty big reorganization right now. I could be wrong, but in the 18 years, I've never spoken to anyone from Coca-Cola. And I mean, I've talked all the way up to the CEO who said, yeah, we're kind of disappointed with our NHRA relationship. We're not really getting, you know, this, we're not sure if this is working out for us. Everybody I've talked to has always been very positive about it. So, you know, whatever it was that caused this, I don't believe it was a performance-based issue, if you know what I'm saying. I think it was, you know, an economic-based issue, but I don't believe that they were unhappy with our performance.
All right, so I'm just knocking out comments. Let's move forward. Time to move forward because Craig Garland, look what Craig Garland's doing. He's getting us on the right track, sending us to Gainesville. NHRA will be stronger than ever. Driving to Gainesville now. Good job, Craig. NHRA is the best value in motorsports. That is a fact. Craig says he's living proof. Look at this. Dave Lay, positive thinking produces positive results. That's what you're getting here, folks. You're getting positivity coming out of Alan Reinhart, myself, and our audience. We're not going to allow the negative Nancys to drag us down. No offense, Nancy people out there. Like, just because your name, oh, why you hate people named Nancy now, Joe? What's up with that? Let's talk about Gainesville. I'm just scanning so many comments. Everybody wants to be in on this.
I had a guy shoot me a tweet this morning and said, okay, do you honestly think now that we're going to continue racing after Gainesville? And so I fired back to him, you can come ask me in Madison or in Houston or in Dallas or in Vegas, because I'll be at all of them. Just come ask me there. And, you know, yes, we are going to continue racing.
All right, I'm going to get a little new age on people out there in that negative energy, man. Negative energy. Energy is energy. Everybody knows about energy, right? We know what it is. Energy can't be destroyed. It can be, just takes different forms. Well, the same thing is true for negative energy. And when, you know, someone spews it to you, then you might take it and regurgitate it and send it on to Alan in the form of a text or an email or a birthday shout out or something like that, even if it is for fun. And that's what this is. The idea that you're going to hear something negative and then forward something negative. We see it all day long. I get those texts, emails, tweets all the time. Oh, this is it. Come on, you got to be honest. Oh, you got to give me the deal. No, they're lying to us. They're all lying. Everybody's lying. Everything's a lie. It's all a lie. Outside the door, there's no world. It's a lie. That is a choice that people make to choose to look at something in the most negative way. And you don't have to choose that. You don't have to choose it. You can choose to try to view things in a positive and opportunistic way. Like, this could be good for everyone. Who knew what is good or bad? And look at this guy, revving engines, doing burnouts, etc. Like, look at this one, Dustin Jones. This might be a great opportunity to reinstate Larry Dixon in his 2C Top Fuel dragster as a marketing opportunity. Kind of a shot, except guess what? I read that Larry Dixon already got his license reinstated.
Yeah, he did. You know, the two-seater is still kind of a taboo thing, but yeah, Larry's got his license reinstated and might actually make an appearance, probably not this year, but might make an appearance on the tour in 2021, I think. And yeah, I mean, kind of goes back to what I said before. Not everything that happens to you in life is going to be a positive, but if something happens that's bad, you know, my philosophy is, okay, I didn't want to be here, but how do I get from here to where I want to be? Not, oh, gee, I'm here. I'll never get out of here. I'll be stuck here. No, like, this is where I am now. How do I get there? What's the path I need to take? And then put the plan in action.
That's it. And do your best and enjoy the ride. And that's all you can do. And look to the world for other examples of success and failure out there. And, you know, who knows? Like, I just lost my my aunt passed away 2 weeks ago, and she had a great life, 88 years old, and had a great life. And like, man, I'd love to live to 88 years old. And you just got to keep on working. And then you look at situations where people, they don't get past 18. and you think, well, why did that happen? Right. And then you worry about like my sponsorship or this or that. It's all about your perspective. All right. Got Justin Ashley coming on the show tomorrow, and Brian Loans to talk more about the Fox deal. We've been very positive, so now we're going to kick it back to the negative a little bit. This race is going to be a tough one because, like, Richie Crampton won back-to-back Gator Nationals and was going for 3 in a row. Obviously, Richie was injured in that crash. We're thinking about Dominic, obviously. I think Richie being the defending race winner is going to bring that story kind of back to the forefront as we think about this whole COVID situation. Like, this was the race we were all at when it went down and everybody had to go home, and think about all the associated stories. Bobby Bennett infected with COVID, driving to the racetrack, and the decision-making to pull the plug turned him around. He obviously beat it, but all the things that are wrapped up in this whole COVID 2020 crisis, I think we're going to think about them a lot while we're at Gainesville Raceway.
I'm not
going to just move forward. That's a strategy. I might ponder for a moment.
We are back in Gainesville, like hitting the reset button. Let's go forward from here. And I think if you ask Richie, he would very, very much like to be able to be there and try to go for 3 in a row. If you ask anybody else with a DHL shirt, they'll go, yeah, it was a team thing. It's the DHL team that's won this twice, and we can keep the streak going. And I think Sean Langdon would probably be okay with that. I think the rest of the guys would.
Yeah, and he's done pretty well recently, so you never know. The DHL trifecta going on. But I'm
excited going back to Gainesville. I'm not going to go look back at, gee, this should have been way back. This is where we are right now. Let's go forward.
And the Torrance family is going to run the Garlitz car, which is, of all the crazy stuff that happened, like, that was going to be really fun to see the Big Daddy Don Garlitz scheme out there, one of the swamp rats. And we didn't get to see it, obviously, but they're going to bring it out. Steve and Capco tweeting out teaser shots on their Twitter, and that's going to be wild to see that car on the track. It's going to be a blast from the past, like a nostalgia thing, like a Garlitz car. And I hear Big Daddy's going to be there, and DG will be there, and others. So, it's not Gainesville without Big Daddy, and you can have a swamp rat on the track.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. It's, for everybody like you that's been going to Gainesville for 50 years, I'm sure it'll bring back a whole lot of memories. I'd probably not possible to put like Leah in a pink car, but wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that would be very cool. Yeah, let's get Shirley on the phone.
Never even thought of that. I mean, come on. No, I think it'll be great, and I think that having Garlitz there, wouldn't be Gainesville without DG. He's been to every one except the one, and I love making him tell his story. His dad said, "If your grades don't get up, you're not going." His grades didn't come up, so he didn't go. But no, it'll be good to have him there. One of the things that we're going to miss out on just because of all the stuff that's going on is, the annual track walk for those who can't, which is a big Daryl Gwynn program and project. We are still going to have some opportunities for fans to support. So, just be there this weekend, and we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Daryl Gwynn always takes this opportunity. I know this is his home race. Let's face it.
Sure.
The 5 hours or 4 hours and 45 minutes up to Gainesville is something that so many of our racers and race fans have done for so many years. And when, Daryl won these races, it was just a wild, epic, crazy party and a lot of fun, and kept the drag racing fans in our South Florida community working hard and connected. Some other cool stuff, though. We're going to have Super Street back. Let's see. Fastest Super Street crew in the world is watching. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oh, man. If that's the Mustang that I think it is, we were this.
Jeff Jackson?
Yes.
Yeah. Jeff, I love you, but I got 2 words for you. Kevin Kleinweber.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's like 170 mile per hour deal. Or get put to work on a race car. That could happen too, says Caleb. Maybe not tracks, as you folks set on fire the last race. People are just commenting. It is all great stuff. NHRA is like no other sport, pure awesomeness. NHRA Crane Golf Series. That's Andy Crane. Yeah, Crane, pony up the money. Starting off with some free lessons for Alan Reinhardt and myself. Let's go. This guy's a pro, so he should be able to hook us up with a couple of lessons, don't you think?
I took some lessons one time actually when I was never going to go out on tour, but I would start to play the game a little bit and got invited to some fundraisers and some charity stuff and that kind of thing. And so I thought, I could probably use just some basic skills. And I will never forget, I went to a place here in town, and I had gone, it was, I don't know, my third lesson or fourth lesson, and went in, and the guy had a simulator where you hit the ball into the blanket, and the computer shows you everything that was going to happen, all that kind of stuff. So the instructor says, Alan, he's up with you in a minute. He goes, just take a couple warm-up swings, get loose. So I grabbed a 7-iron, and I'm just, out there just do. And he sits there and watches me take a couple of swings, and he looks at me and he says, Alan, you've made a lot of progress these last few weeks. 3 or 4 more lessons, and you should suck. And I went, I'm paying you.
Yeah.
I have plenty of people that will insult me for free. I don't need to pay somebody for that. And he was wrong, because 3 more lessons and I still wasn't as good as suck.
Yeah, no, you have to work very hard to suck in golf. Like, you can't even go out on a course as a normal citizen. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to go try to play golf and go to a course and go there. You can't even do that. You have to practice a good amount to just be able to go out there and hit one shot off the tee. And then you might not want to do it ever again. So Andy Crane will be happy to accept our whatever DVD video stuff. You can send that to us, Joe at WFOradio.com. All right. On Friday, we had Pro Stock Happy Hour, Alan. We had Michael Heiner. We had Dave Connolly and Eddie Granaccia. And it started out like stocks, options, trading, happy hour. But eventually I was able to get it to where I wanted it to be as a Pro Stock Happy Hour. And to me, it was a great opportunity. Obviously, they're all connected to KB Racing. So that was kind of the KB satellite crew chief perspective. But Dave, where he's been, obviously world champ with Tanner Gray and has had great success over the years as a driver, 3-time Indy winner. Michael Heiner is a lifer in Pro Stock, and so is Eddie Granaccia, pretty much, has won the U.S. National. So I asked them some questions, and there were a couple of themes that came up, and I just wanted to share them with you as I look at the entry list. 22 entries in Pro Stock again. So Pro Stock is traveling well and is a healthy category. They said over and over again that they think that, number one, it's the healthiest of the categories. It's hard to, nitro is split into 2 separate categories. So I get that some would push back on that. But with 22 cars, the race within a race that is qualifying has been very interesting. Number one. Number two, when I asked them about, not just me, the audience, what about this? What about this? Would you change this? What is wrong? What is right? What's wrong? What's right? These 3 crew chiefs who, if anybody is going to say like, well, we'd like to change something, they pretty much agreed that the class as it is right now, this version with the bodies, with the engines, with the cars, with the spec, is exactly as they would like it to be. And better than the previous generations where one guy would work in secret and get a 500th advantage on the field and go out and win 2/3 of the races kind of thing. I thought it was pretty illuminating to the status of Pro Stock right now, and I recommend it to all fans. Go back and watch it. But, we got 22 cars on the entry list. We got a nice championship battle, Erica and the Retirement All-Star. What do you think?
I would agree with that. I think that, Richard Freeman was really the driving force behind this. And then, obviously Ken Black got involved and McGahey is doing the same thing now as far as the engine lease program. There has always been a huge segment of people that dream of running Pro Stock. Whether you're a stock, super stock guy, whether you're a comp eliminator guy, guys that have, solid financial means, but don't have the time to invest or don't have the means to go out and build your own engine shop and do your own stuff. The days of building your own engine, driving your own truck, tuning your own car and racing it, they've been gone for 25 years. When Bob Glidden was doing it, when Warren Johnson was doing it, it was incredible. But those days are long gone. And the guys that are racing in Pro Stock now, for the vast majority of them, successful businessmen that want to come out and do this, but it's really never been accessible to have any success in the category. There was a short period of time where, you could rent engines from Dick Maskin and be moderately successful. You could rent engines from Steve Schmidt and be moderately successful. But you couldn't lease horsepower. You couldn't just show up at the track with a helmet and have a legitimate shot at winning the race and a legitimate shot at being in the championship if you do your part right. And that's what's available now. And I think that's why we're seeing what we're seeing in pro stock now, because the number of guys who want to do it, and you go, okay, this is going to cost me, whatever the number is. This is going to cost me $1,000 a year. That's worth it to me. I got $1,000. Let's go. I always wanted to race pro stock. Well, when you're always the number 15 or 16 qualifier, or you don't make the field, and then you've never been in a semifinal, at some point you go, yeah, it's not fun. But if you can go spend that same money, and again, it's a big number, but whatever the number, and when you show up, hey, you go to the semis once in a while, maybe you make a final round here and there, but you don't go in worrying about qualifying. You know that you've got a legitimate shot to at least be competitive. Then that drives you to go back and want to keep doing it. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And it's simply because of the fact that Richard and Ken and the McGay-Hayes they will give you enough power to win the race. You just got to get the rest of it done. And, you don't have to look a whole lot farther than, Bo Butner, Hartford. You look at how many guys have won races with Freeman's engines under the hood. I mean, he will give you everything you need to go out there and win, and then you just got to do your job. So I think that's, I think pro stock is very healthy right now. And again, the whole Chicken Little group, when, we only had 10 touring cars. Oh, that's it. Pro stock's dead. And then when they made the switch to EFI, oh, that's it. You ran off 3 more. Pro stock's dead. And then when NHRA cut the schedule back from 24 races to 16 or 18, oh, that's it. Pro stock's dead. When factory stock showdown came in, oh, that's it. Pro stock's fine. And, it certainly went through some growth pains, but pro stock is fine. And that is due, again, in large part to Richard Freeman, who was driving the bus, and then the other guys who basically decided, hey, we need to get on board. We need to make sure that the class is healthy. You got to have people to beat. And so, I agree with that. I think pro stock is in really good shape right now.
We're getting a question right now about, now that it's been a few years, has the EFI era reduced the cost of running pro stock? I'd like your answer, and then I'll tell you what these guys said on Friday, and everybody should go and watch it. It's right here on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter account. You can find it. Come on, find it. But Alan, what would you say?
I believe yes. I think that, the overall package, not just the EFI, but, the 10,500 RPM rev limit, some of the other stuff that's come in, there was a learning curve, and there was definitely some money spent the first year, the first 2 years, getting up to speed. But I do believe that as of now, it is cheaper to physically run the race cars than it was then, and that goes for R&D as well. And
the commentary that occurred on Happy Hour was that the carburetor, because Dave was still loved the carburetors, but Michael and Eddie were like, yeah, but you had to buy so many carburetors to get the ones that worked. And there was no rhyme or reason. And they cited crazy examples of like guys had the magic carburetors, and they would have them in a case and protect them. And how would you find those magic carburetors? I remember Shane Gray telling me like you'd have to buy many, many, many sets and test all of these sets to get 2 that were great. And then you slept with them. Like you kept them under your pillow. And I can't imagine that's very positive. Meanwhile, with EFI, you can just ramp in as much fuel as you want. And then obviously the 10.5 rev limiter, which they agreed with generally, but did also acknowledge that it does hurt the Dodges a little bit. But the valve spring cost, valve springs last longer. They are expensive.
I'm not sure how much, because when the RPM was cut back, the engine builder in some of those guys goes, okay, well, if we don't have to spend at 12,000 RPM anymore, how high can we actually open the valve now? And so they started going that direction with bigger camshaft, more aggressive camshaft, because, you couldn't run that big a cam 12,000 RPM, but you can at 10.5.
Got it.
And there might be a little bit there, but I don't think there's, the racer mentality in the engine builders kind of took over from there. It's like, okay, well, if we used to open them an inch and we don't have to, how about if we open them 1.5 inches? And then you get back to where you're still killing valve springs at a pretty regular clip.
Isn't that great though? Isn't that okay? Well, we can't do this. So Can we do this? Well, yeah, we could do that. Well, let's do that. And that's racing. And that is the mentality. And that's why the NHRA and drag racing, like all of these things and all of these people, you're not going to stop them. Like, okay, we can't have this. Let's figure out another way. You have to, your best is to try to, guide them down a direction that everybody seems as mutually beneficial, and we'll get to where we need to go. Anyway, everybody should check it out. It's pretty cool. Pro Stock motorcycle race. That's not the first race of the season. Out of
Who's going to be the next winner? Because apparently they instituted a new rule in Pro Stock motorcycle that I hadn't become aware of. Everybody's only allowed to win one.
Oh.
So who's next?
Oh, I got to tell you, I think it's going to be, I think Steve Johnson. He's got to be a first-time winner or just a winner. I think Steve Johnson is going to go out there and get the job done this weekend.
No, first time this year.
Oh, okay. First time this year, then. Yeah, Steve. Let's do it.
Okay.
Sign on.
I was going to go with Eddie Krawick, but
last year's runner-up, Eddie. Yeah.
When's the last time he won?
I don't know.
He doesn't either. It's been that long. It's been like a year and a half. So it's been way too long for Eddie's standards. So I think he's in the mix. Matt Smith, obviously. That who would have picked the trifecta that we've had to win the first three races? All right, you're going to have the first three races of the motorcycle season. Okay, who had Ryan, Angel, and Scotty? Show of hands. Nobody. Okay, good.
Eddie. But see, Eddie, the secret is like there's something like I want to say, but I don't want to say. But I've been noticing Eddie. Like Eddie's a friend. I love Eddie because I like his attitude. He's Jersey, his dad, the whole thing. But the road to success lies right in front of him within his team. And the answer is Andrew Hines went through a long drought also. And what did Andrew say and do to end that long drought and then go on to great success that ultimately resulted in another championship? He's been on the show many, many times. And a lot of it was his, physical training, the running, recommitted to crazy level exercise and all of that stuff. And I think if Eddie goes out and runs a half marathon followed by a marathon, he'll be good to go. We got to get that one going. Eddie, no, you're out there. Let's start the running. Let's start the running.
Yeah, I don't see Eddie doing that. But
I've seen Eddie in the leathers lately, Al.
I mean, every week.
Okay. I don't know.
I wasn't checking him out. What is there something you want to tell me?
It's a little chubbiness going on. I don't know. It's just a little. Gotta run.
Nah, I'm not gonna. As much as Eddie likes to bust my chops about how his car's faster than mine, I'm not gonna bust his chops about.
I'm busting Eddie just because he's a good guy. Well, he could go out there and get the job done. So I took Steve Johnson for the emotional out of nowhere, and Eddie Krawick, last year's runner-up. I like it. Any final thoughts, Gator Nationals wise? This has been a good conversation. This is what happened. Ignition.
Let me get back to it. It's weird. We ran 4 races in Indy, and it's like okay, and then we took 2 weeks off, and it's like oh, geez. Let's go. We got to go someplace. So no, looking forward to get back to it. I just hope Mother Nature smiles on us. I've been kind of watching the weather coming in, and it's been warm and wet. So it certainly is not going to be, I don't think, the normal Gainesville Performance Fest. And when I say wet, I mean a lot of water drink, a lot of humidity. Let's just say I don't think I've seen anything that would lead me to believe we're going to add any more members to the Denso 200 mile an hour club in Pro Stock Motorcycle this particular weekend. But as long as we can run the race, give us decent weather at Ma Nature, and we'll bring some fans in, and we'll put on a heck of a show for them.
There it is. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in Gainesville this weekend, and we're going to get this Amelie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals in the books.
Look forward to it. Travel safe, and I will see you Thursday.
All right. Thank you, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. No, the point is that Eddie can break out and go on and win the championship this year. He just needs next level motivation. He needs to get into that zone that he gets into from time to time, and where he's a little angry and a little fired up and trying to kind of prove a point. And that's what's going to break him out. And so we'll see if that happens soon. Get your final comments into the comments section. Put them up. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this conversation that we just had with Alan Reinhart. I think we covered a lot of ground. There was a lot of positive thinking, discussion there. We had a lot of fun with Pro Stock. I want to show you a couple of things that are going down. Like, for instance, congratulations to Gareth Senkow, who is a WFO listener who carries the WFO sticker on his Pinto Super Street car, was able to win a divisional level Wally this past weekend north of the border while wearing the WFO radio mask. I don't know if he was wearing the mask while he won the race, but congratulations, Gareth. I always get to say what's up to Gareth when we go to Brainerd, and that's his closest national event, goes down there, and the guy goes out and wins in Super Street. Congratulations, Gareth. Excellent stuff. Also, the Pro Stock Happy Hour. Ignore the time. It's available now. But we had Eddie, we had Michael Heiner, we had Dave Connolly on Happy Hour talking Pro Stock. I think if you like Pro Stock, it was a very informative conversation because I asked them all the questions that I wanted to ask. And the answer is basically from these guys. It's different when a team owner tells you. It's different when a driver tells you. These guys, Dave is obviously driver, tuner, whatever he wants to do, he does. And Eddie, chassis man, Michael Heiner, chassis guy. Like, they're not putting out the money. So if something would be better, they would tell us what it is. They love it now. They love it now. It is what it is now, and it is good. Even the body style, something I always talk about, like hang some different bodies on them to make them look, and they're like, don't worry about that. That's not what we're worried about. I recommend you go check it out. It's really good in that launching with the clutch, shifting the gears, managing the car, getting it down to the finish line is so challenging. And you've got driver personalities and all of this great stuff going on. Rivalries developing and developed. Don't touch it. This is it. Promote what it is, and the people who like it will like it. And the people who don't quite understand what's going on, they will like something else. But stay with this is pretty much what they said. Even the wheelie bar. Everybody asked about the wheelie bar. Like, you want to change the wheel? Let's take the wheelie bar off. Michael Heiner says, and Eddie said flat out, he goes, no, we would just spend $100,000 to figure out how to get the cars down the track without the wheelie bar, exactly the same way. And we could do it by doing this with the shocks and this with the front and this with this and this with that. And it would just cost us a bunch of money. And the cars would leave exactly the way they leave right now, except without the wheelie bar. And we'll be right back where we are, because this is the quickest and most efficient way down the racetrack. You want to get from A to B, an analogy that I hate. I always say start to finish as rapidly as possible ahead of the next guy. You do it the way that we're doing it now. And that's it. This is Pro Stock. I thought it was a really great conversation. You should check it out. Also want to remind everybody, Alan making us make picks for Pro Stock. And I picked Steve Johnson because I think that would be super cool. Where I made my original Scotty Polachek pick was on our Patreon show. That is for VIP listeners. And we have brought on some new Patreons very recently, including Stubo. And if you want to join us on Patreon, WFO Radio is the Patreon page, patreon.com/WFO Radio. You can find it from the website. Also, one of our listeners has created this amazing steel gauge tree. And we are going to auction this off obviously for the Lagana family as a charitable donation. And we're dialing in how we're going to do it. My email address is joe@wforadio.com. And this thing is pretty cool. Like, look at the scale. Perfect for the yard, for the garage, for the trailer. The thing is beautiful, but it doesn't even matter. It could be terrible. And the cause that we're doing it for, and we're going to donate 100% of the money. But so here's the debate now. The debate is this. Either we're going to put it up on eBay, the WFO eBay, and tell you guys to bid on it, and the winning bidder will get it. Or maybe a GoFundMe account where the audience can just raise as much money as possible, and then we'll donate the money and the sign to the Lagana family. Dwell on that. And you might be wondering, well, why haven't you figured this out, Joe? And the answer is, I really like to include the audience in these kind of decisions. I really like to include it. What do I want to accomplish? I want to raise the most amount of money, period, end of story, to hand off. And I want to do it within the bounds of legality, et cetera, and so on. I wouldn't want to get nailed with something like that at the end of the year. WFO Radio face coverings, $10 face covering. You too can be like Gareth Senkow and wear the WFO Radio face covering en route to victory. Look at that guy. He's got his Wally. He's got his sticker. He's got his face covering. It's great. These are just $10. And I throw in a few WFO Radio stickers to boot. You can get these right now by going to WFOradio.com and click on the WFO store. And there is a link, and it's going to improve. But definitely check it out and get yourself a face covering. You need one if you're going to go to the Gator Nationals. To get into the race, you're going to get a temperature check, and you're going to get, you need to be wearing a face covering. Those are the rules, and you should be doing it. If you'd like some WFO Radio stickers for free, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. And I really think that the face covering is a better deal, though, because you get the face covering and the stickers, and you get to support the show. But I will send you some stickers. Send them out just like that. Hoorah. Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, hot sauces and spice rubs. He's even got these great coffee mugs. Why don't you call Marvin and make a fantastic order and reference WFO? Do it now. 817-924-6821. Aaron Stanfield, you're going to be looking for something to listen to just minutes from now. Why don't you listen to Aaron Stanfield talk Factory Stock Showdown as we get ready for the Gator Nationals on Factory Stock Podcast? But it's all really an exercise for the people out there who are the next generation of engine builders. Think about it. Knowing the right and wrong side of engine building, machining, going to have a career, high performance. Maybe you end up as a crew chief. Maybe you end up as a CNC programmer for an aerospace company. It all starts off at a place like samtech.edu. We really appreciate Brian Massengill, the Massengill family, for supporting WFO Radio. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. We're working on some really interesting stuff that you're going to love. But right now, Joey Arrington, the episode up on Hidden Horsepower, and the next one is going to be Kenny Duttweiler, and you should definitely subscribe and write a review. Check out their brand new website, totalseal.com. And if you're building an engine and you're an engine builder and you watch WFO and you like WFO and you're using another form of piston rings, please email me and explain like what's up with that. Just because I think we've driven home the point very, very well. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, Frank and Lana Hawley, and Nitro Fish. Use the promo code WFO20 at nitrofishracing.com. Bo Butner, Randy Lynn doing a great job for us. And you can get your WFO t-shirt that I occasionally wear right here. Looks like this using the promo code WFO20. But I think if you're going to the Gator Nationals, get it at the track. It's better when you get it at the track, I think. All right, let's see what the final comments are. See, all of that is just to stall to get to the final comments so everybody can get their comments in. And we'll see what they say. Let's see. Sam, then the trend in the news went from positive to very negative in a quick swing. Yeah, but it goes back positive, too. You had the Fox deal, good news. You had the Coke deal, bad news. You had Marcus Lemonis reaching out like, hey, I want to be involved in the sport somehow. Whether that comes to pass or not, it just demonstrates that there's positive energy. So who knows what's good or bad? Who knows what's good or bad? Let's see. Monica, fantastic show today. Looking forward to watching some NHRA this weekend. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate it. You're very positive. Thank you for being a listener. H. Crazy, not negative. Wondering, is it time to reevaluate big budgets and weakness to outside sources? COVID. I think that considering all the factors is always smart, but big budgets, what do you mean? The person with big budget has big money because they worked hard for it. They earned it. They made the right choices. They've got their great connections, whatever. So how do you limit a big budget? You can't. Don Schumacher Racing is designed to function at this size that it is. To restrict things drastically will hurt them. They'll have to let go of people. We don't want that. It's an ecosystem. And when you start to alter those things, there's going to be unexpected consequences. Now, what are those? It depends on what we're talking about restriction-wise. But there will be unexpected consequences. So we just got to kind of let things go and see how they are. What would be better is if we could bring in several big title, multi-level sponsorships and have all 24 races sponsored and have a big championship points fund and be able to pay more, and especially the announcers. That, I think, is really the backbone to the whole thing, turning around. That simple. Let's see. Sportsman overload at the double divisional in St. Louis this weekend could be the best race of the year. No doubt. And we'll be down there soon. Love the fact that we've got our Lucas Oil Series cars in action down there. Scott says, great Ignition show this week, Joe. Someone that listens to Ignition. How about that? Yeah, the Ignition podcast is actually the best show we do because it's there's no framework. There's very little anything except for, racing talk, sports talk. We dove in on we talked about the Coca-Cola issue there first. We talked about Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin getting together to start a team for Bubba Wallace. We talked about that. All kinds of interesting stuff going on the Ignition show, and it's audio only, so you don't have to look at my mug. Speedy Sticks, bring back the Lenko gearbox. Okay, let's say that we did that. I love the look of a Lenko too. They're neat. Lightning rods. Very cool. I get it. But really, what difference does it make? Which direction? So you got shifting like this, or you got this. What difference does it make? Like, I'm not going to watch these guys and girls do this, but I will watch them do this. Like, what? It doesn't make a difference. That's the thing. You can't go backwards in technology, everybody. You just can't. You can't go backwards. This is something Drew Skillman says all the time. You can't. It's really hard to hold it down. Technology, number one. Number two, you can't go backwards. Let's all run flatheads. That'll slow them down. We'll mandate that everyone runs a flathead V8. No, you cannot go backwards. Once you learn something, then it becomes part of life. These things, would it be good for us to go backwards and get back to a life where this little device didn't dominate our existence? It might be better, right? Like, look at the folks, the Amish folks that go around Reading and they're up there and they got their buggies and stuff. Like, maybe we should be doing that, and we should go to the Rotary and we could call somebody or get the operator. Operator, please connect me to Alan Reinhardt, please. We wouldn't be doing any of this. You wouldn't be listening to this show. I wouldn't be making a living like this. Drag racing would be totally different. The world would be totally different. You cannot go backwards. It's impossible. It's impossible. Arthur says, I think it would be cool to have a show with older drivers. Gary Beck, Ed McCullough. Oh, Arthur, I agree. Except I've done it and I've tried it, and it's entertainment for me, Art. You want to know the deal? You really want to know the deal? It's exactly what I just said. It's a great piggyback comment on the devices. You'd think that when I have Garlitz on the show and Garlitz gives me all this great stuff on the podcast, that I would get a big audience. Except I don't really, because the old guys don't know how to use this. And even worse, reject the technology. Oh, all that technology stuff. I still got a flip phone because I'm a cool old guy. And you know whose fault it is? It's not the old guy's fault. It's their kids' fault and their grandkids' fault. I've got a great friend who says the day you get old is the day you stop embracing new technology. The second you throw up the white flag and you say, oh, I can't learn that because that's new, that's when you get old. And maybe you're 40 when it happens. Oh, I can't learn that. I'm too old. I don't know how to use that new thing. I can't do it. That's when you get old. Whatever it is. Oh, because guess what? Technology is going to keep on moving. It's going to keep on growing. And so, Art, all these old guys that would love the Kenny Youngblood happy hour show. Kenny Youngblood was great We looked at his art. We talked about his stuff. We spoke with some guys that you would consider, old guys, right? Old guys. Kenny Youngblood. We talked about these amazing eras. Look at that. That's Kenny. Look at this shop. That's where he first got started lettering. And, Ed Pink talked about this in the podcast with Ed Pink. Ken Black was across the way. This was amazing. I asked Galvin about this. He said it was like this hippie convent of drag racers, which that kind of doesn't make sense, but you get what I'm saying. Kenny Youngblood. How did that episode do? Not great. Why? Because the old guys don't look for this stuff here because they're stuck like, in a lazy boy. I don't know what they're doing. So what am I saying? All you young people out there, sons and grandsons and granddaughters and daughters, you need to help your older fans of drag racing realize that there's a bunch of great stuff on here. Yeah, there's Kenny Youngblood with a car he painted. Have you ever heard of it? There's another one. And that one was surprisingly, it wasn't bad. It was good, but it should have been a blockbuster. So you want us to get some old guys on there? We'll get some old guys. We'll do it. You want it? Well, you got it. We'll get old guys. You want old guys? We'll give you old guys. Derek says, and I'm 6 minutes behind on the WFO sticker on the car. Do you contingency money? Do I pay contingency money? Absolutely not. You know what you get, Derek? You get something worth so much more than money. So much more than money. You get celebrity and fame and recognition is what you get for being a WFO sticker driver. For people who have WFO on their car. You get money and from other sponsors, you get recognition and celebrity from WFO. Derek, do you think we've got that kind of money? I'm going to give him your Patreon money, Derek. Last month's Patreon money. I'm going to send it to Gareth. Thank you for doing that. Love our Patreons. Feeling kind of ornery today. Let's see. Ronnie Kennedy. Great show. You work in the Gators. Yes, I am. I'll be working the Gators. It might be my last race of the year, but I'm working the Gators. Couldn't find the Ignition show last night. Don't know why. It's up. It's there. It's available. Garrettson. Yes, Lenko is less efficient. Why do you think that they got away from it? Thank you, Chris. They don't just change things to change them. They change things because they're better. And that's what racing is. You change things to make them better. And some people can't get with it. Meaning $100,000 for an engine every race isn't sustainable long-term. But that's not what it is anymore. That's already changed. If we're talking about pro stock, that number has changed. And I've heard all kinds of different numbers thrown out there. And I think it depends on the deal you make, just like anything else. What kind of deal can you make for yourself? What are you bringing to the table? How much do you need from them? Like if you want to lease an engine and have them do everything and you show up with your helmet and drive it, it's going to be much more expensive than if you're doing what, say, Matt Hartford does, who does his own everything and just takes the engine, and if there's an issue, they handle it. So it all depends. Just like with everything. How much is it? It all depends. Hey, I'd love to be a WFO radio sponsor. That's great. It all depends. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be the first sponsor that I say every single week and have your logo attached right over the top of the WFO radio logo, like everywhere? That's going to be different than one of our weekly sponsors, which we have. It all depends. Let's see. More cost-effective races would allow for smaller teams to compete, give big teams flexibility. Like who? That is the question. Well, we pretty much know all the small teams that want to be involved and who they are. Like, what's the number that we've got to get to that is going to enable those teams to run all 24 races? I'd like to know what we think that number is. And then once we get to that number, then we can come up with some strategies on how to achieve the number. And then once we do that, we'll present those ideas and they'll be rejected. Because ultimately they would come down to the cars being slower and less extreme and less entertaining. Back to you can't go backwards. Now, I get what you're saying. Travel costs, they're going to go up and down. Fuel costs, they're going to go up and down. The amount of crew members you need per car. Like right now, it's X. Should it be X minus 4? You've got some teams doing it with a couple of guys. You got some teams doing it with 10 guys. You want to limit the number of crew guys? All right, so you mean you want to fire a bunch of guys? It's very complex. That's what I'm saying. There's no easy answers. No easy answers. Let's fire some guys. That's what will save the sport. Let's cut races and fire employees. And then suddenly everything will be better. And I'm laughing because a lot of people think that. Like, we've got a 24 race schedule. We're going to put 24 races. We cut it to 15 races. It's going to be worth more. Man, if it's going to be worth more at 15 than it was at 24, let's cut it down to 5. Boy, then everybody will show up to all 5 races, except we'll only have 5 races. And it'll be so valuable. You know, and you could even give me the Indianapolis Motor Speedway analogy to prove it. Look, that's just one race. Look how valuable it is. No. If you just had the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy 500 as the only race of the year, there would be no IndyCar. Let's see. Outlaws Oval Racings has a stable following, but doesn't look like their technology has advanced. It does have a stable following, but I'm only a little bit interested in it. And there's a lot. First of all, their technology within those engines have advanced dramatically. Yeah, they're small blocks, but what's going on inside the engines have advanced. And I think those guys will tell you that the engines have advanced and the cost has gone up and everything before I retreat from my initial position. And they do have a stable following. But when was the last time you saw Outlaw Oval Racing on one of the massive networks? I like it. I don't want to say anything negative about it, but I don't think it's a major league sport. You tell me. It's healthy. It's around. Kyle Larson's winning every race. I don't know. I'd like some feedback on that. I think the image of the National Hot Rod Association in size, stature is above that of dirt oval racing. Maybe I'm wrong. That's my opinion. And I like it. Don't tell me I don't like it. I like it. I live in South Florida and it's not around me. I would be there. I've been to the Terre Haute action track. Thank you very much. Monica, just bet you just get to be one of the cool kids if you have the stickers. Yeah, and all of that. Oh, look, Jimmy Kroll, who used to, I better read what he says before I tell you who he is. End Pro Stock, go to factory rides, Copo Drag Pack, and the Ford. I'm not going to tell you who Jimmy is. No, Jimmy used to prep Miami Hollywood Speedway for many, many years. Good guy. He's like one of those track prep gurus in Florida, and he knows what he's doing. Very sharp guy. But you're wrong on this one, Jim. You're wrong on this one. Different style of racing. Look at what we have going on in Factory Stock Showdown right now when the factories don't necessarily keep up with a new car every couple of years. You have chaos and anger and people staying home and weight break style issues. And in Pro Mod is great, and I have nothing negative to say about Pro Mod. I love Pro Mod, but it's not Pro Stock. It's a different thing altogether. Pro Mod has not overtaken Pro Stock. It in my opinion, it absolutely has not. There are more Pro Mod cars. That is true. The multiple power adder thing definitely got some people intrigued and interested. But what's going on in the cockpit is totally different. And I think that Pro Stock is definitely more of a driver's race. It's more about tuning the whole car to get everything out of it. Pro Mod is about boost, power, conditions per power adder. Oh, if it's super humid, the nitrous cars are going to be doing good. If it's this way, then the blower cars are going to be doing good. Look at Pro Charger. We throw a Pro Charger on it. Boom. Now we're out there capable of winning. Pro Mod is its own thing. It's got its fan base. Pro Stock is its own thing. It's got its own fan base. Factory Stock, I love it. But there's no clutch. Don't you think there should be a clutch, Jimmy? Don't you think there should be a clutch, Jimmy? There should be a clutch, Jimmy. There's got to be a clutch. You got to launch with a clutch. Not everybody can launch with a button. It's just not good. Pro Stock is its own thing. 22 cars, Jimmy. 22 cars. Are you coming to the Gators, Jimmy? That's the question. If Jimmy Kroll is not coming to the Gator Nationals, I would be very disappointed. All right. And that's all I got. A little bonus Joe, just because I was feeling motivated. The Ignition Show is in the podcast archive. You know we got all kinds of stuff to sell. Buy some. We got sponsors. What, they all just pulled out? And if it did, we would find another way. That's when we would go to Patreon only. He's going to the Gators. Thank you, Jimmy. He's going to the Gators. Look at this. Just ordered my face covering, and I'm an old fart. And that's why you wanted the old guys. And that's great. You can be part of our older gentleman commission, whose job is to recruit other older folks on the internet to listen to our podcast and live stream. We're going to do it. Now, one of my big ideas, I got two big ideas for happy hour. One is Krista and the Greek, which I've said that one before. But another would be Jim and John Dunn. That checks all the boxes, right? We'll get Jonna on there. It will be a lot of fun. They've been doing it a long time, man. They deserve some cred. And Jim Campbell can come too, if they want him. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Really thank you for stopping by. Remember, Patreon's VIP show, WFO Radio / Patreon, vice versa. Congratulations to Gareth. And don't forget to check out our happy hour with these guys. Connolly told us about his bracket car. And good stuff. Pro stock back in the day. Look at Eddie's machine. Look at this guy. It's a LeBaron. We had a good time with that. It was great stuff. And I'll be in Gainesville. Tomorrow, we've got Brian Loans, 4 o'clock, going to talk Fox TV deal. And then Justin Ashley going to get his winter interview from the Summer Nationals. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.